The student knows the answer. Given that he answered it correctly. He answered it correctly. So this question, children, if you are reading the question, in answering a question on a multiple choice test, a student either knows the answer or guesses the answer. Let 3 by 4 be the probability that he knows the answer and 1 by 4 be the probability that he guesses the answer. Assuming that a student guesses at the answer will be correct with probability 1 by 4. What is the probability that the student knows the answer given that he answered it correctly? So when you just look at this question, the finally what is asked is find the probability that the student knows the answer. The probability to be found out for that event. Which is that event? The student knows the answer. This is one of the event whose probability is asked to find. Then given that means you have to consider it as a condition which has already happened. It is already happened. पहले हो चुका है. इसलिए given that word is used. Given that he answered it correctly. So he answered it correctly is also taken as another event. So condition is given upon another event. So two events are there, event 1 and event 2. And one event is given as the condition, another event is to be taken for finding the probability. So while you compare these two events, which event happened first? Compare the two events. One is that the student knows the answer. That is the one event. Another event that he answered it correctly. Another event is he answered it correctly. So if you compare these two events, which happens first? If you think you can just to see that knows the answer comes first, and in the second action that he answered it correctly. So the first level of action is that he knows the answer. Second level of action is that he answered it correctly. And after given that means the condition. The condition is happening at a later stage. The condition happens at a later stage. This is the condition happens at a later stage, and you have to find out the probability of an event that the student knows the answer. So two events you have to define here. What is the first event which happens is first level of actions that the student knows the answer. The same sentence you can use the event that the student knows the answer. And another event is with the condition. So that also we will define. We will name that event afterwards. How to define? Given that he answered it correctly. So it is the event that the student, the subject you have to use, so it is student. The student answered correctly. In that, the first level of action पहले हो चुका है even, he knows the answer is first, and the second में जो हुआ है that is a condition that we consider it as A. And now your question is find the probability that the student knows the answer. That means probability of even, given that he answered it correctly. That means given that A. And you can also notice that the condition happen at a later stage. This is the condition which happens at a later stage. And probability of the event which happens at an early stage is asked. So practically you cannot find out this. Here you will apply Bayes theorem, because Bayes theorem will reverse the probability. So what is where is the situation that you have to apply Bayes theorem? It is understood, I hope. Now, if even is the first event, and along with even you can take another event which becomes exhaustive events. What will be E2? If the counterpart of even, you have to think what is the other option that you have to think. Even is that the student knows the answer. What is the other option? अगर वो knows नहीं है तो what will be the other option? You can again go to the question and read. In answering a question on a multiple choice test, student either knows the answer or guesses. What is the other option? Other option is he guesses the answer. So we can write E2 as the student guesses the answer. If one more option is there, that also you can join with it. So here in the question it is given either he knows the answer or he guesses the answer. So these are the two events which is taken as exhaustive events, and clearly it is mutually exclusive. If first even happens, then E2 does not happen, and E2 happens, then even does not happen. So now Bayes theorem, what it says is, before that you have to make this picture which I have taught you in the previous video. P of E1 you will write, P of E2 you can write. This total probability will be equal to 1. Total probability is 1. Now along with that you can apply the condition here A, and at the end of this arrow you will write what P of A given E1, and here you will write P of A given E2. Now after writing this, you can now again read the question. What is P of even means? P of even means probability that the student knows the answer. Is it given there? You have to again read the question for that. Assuming that, let 3 by 4 be the probability that he knows the answer. So it is given, let 3 by 4 be the probability that he knows the answer, and 1 by 4 the probability that he guesses the answer. So we can write here P of even is the probability that he knows the answer, because even is defined as that he knows the answer. So it is given as 3 by 4. Probability of E2 without getting information directly also we can write, because the total probability of P of E1 and P of E2 together must be equal to 1 by 4. Now you have to look for this P of A given E1. What is P of A given even means? It is the probability of A with the condition even. Probability of A means probability that the student answers it correctly, provided even has happened. Provided even has happened. Even has happened means the student knows the answer Then what is the probability that he answer it correctly? That the student answer it correctly, provided he knows the answer. So obviously, if a student knows the answer, what is the probability of writing the answer correctly is full chance, full probability. So that is equal to 1. Okay, if anybody knows the answer and then writing the answer correctly, that probability will be 1 only. So it is 1. Now here it is what? Probability of A given E2 means probability of A. Probability that the student write the answer correctly provided E2. Provided that he guesses the answer. So that probability is also given here. Assuming that the student guesses the answer will be correct with the probability 1 by 4. So this probability is equal to 1 by 4. Now what is the final question is, what is the probability that the student knows the answer given that he answered it correctly? What is the probability that the student knows the answer? That is P of E1. P of E1 given that A has happened. So this one you will apply the Bayes theorem. For application of Bayes theorem, what you have to do? P of E1 given A means you will be encircling one of these probabilities. What I have told you is, which one you will encircle? This one you will encircle. Okay, because this will come 2 times. This will come in the numerator, so we will be getting P of E1 in probability of E2 into probability of E2 into probability of A given E2. So we can write, if you don't have the time, you can directly write from here. This will come, this blue color circle one will come at the top. So 3 by 4 into 1. So that means it is 3 by 4 into 1. 3 by 4 into 1 plus divided by 3 by 4 into 3 by 4 into 1 plus total probability, that is 3 in plus 1 by 4 into 1 by 4. 1 by 4 into 1 by